And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show, guys. On today's show, Tarko Carlton wants out of Dallas, Big Ben is out for the season, and Drew Brees is out for at least 6 weeks. But before we get into all that, let's welcome my man Marcus to the show. Marcus, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Michael. I can't see you, man. I can't see your beautiful face there in Atlanta. What's going on?
I am in Atlanta, so let me start this screen share for you, and then boom, we should
Okay.
be good to go now. How does that look?
Okay, there you are. I didn't know if it was you. Somebody could have hit you over the head and then like been using your voice,
Right.
some kind of trick. I got to make sure it's you, man.
Yeah, well, it's me because today we're going to do some trivia to start off today's
Okay.
show.
All right. All right.
Oh, okay.
All
So
right.
I got a couple questions. Just a little disclaimer. This is all the top off the top of the head
Okay.
from Marcus. I had the questions off the old interwebs here. So
Okay.
the first question I got for you today: what Motown singer tried out for the Detroit Lions in 1970? Was it Marvin Gaye, Lionel Richie, Smokey Robinson, or Stevie Wonder?
Well, it damn sure couldn't have been Stevie Wonder.
That kind of
Um,
eliminates that one, huh?
man, who was the other one? Lionel Richie. My daughter could probably knock Lionel Richie down, so it ain't him.
So you have two choices now. You have Marvin Gaye or
Uh,
Smokey Robertson.
Man, that's a good one. Marvin Gaye? Nah, nah. Man, I'll go Smokey Robinson. I don't know.
That is the incorrect answer. The correct
Wow,
answer is Marvin Gaye. It says Marvin
wow.
Gaye bulked up nearly 30 pounds and trained with future Hall of Famer tight end Charlie Sanders while preparing for
Wow.
his tryout.
Man, I messed
However,
up on.
he did not make the
I,
team.
yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, I messed up on a 50-50 question, man. But yeah, shit. Okay, well, at least I eliminated a couple.
All right, here we go. Here's a question that you might know here.
Okay.
Which player holds the NFL record for the longest interception return? Is it Deion Sanders, Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, or Eric Berry?
Ed Reed took one to the house over 108 yards or something.
Yep, that is
Is
100%
that? I don't.
correct.
Man, that's a good one.
It was a
Yeah.
107 yards in 2008. He
Yeah.
also has the second longest interception of 106 yards in 2004. So
Dude, that dude's a Hall of Famer easily. Like
yeah,
he went in this past year. Was it this past year or it was?
I'm
Yeah, it was. It
I
was. It
think so.
was
Yeah.
this past year. Listen, you know how you knew he was a Hall of Famer when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were it was like NFL Films, and they were getting ready to play the Ravens, and they were worried about how they were going to deal with Ed Reed.
Right.
Like those two were worried about one person.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
how I knew he was a Hall of Famer then.
he is something special.
Yeah.
Next question: what team won the first night football game ever played? Was it the Canton Bulldogs, Chicago Bears, Akron Pros, or the Philadelphia Athletics?
I don't know anything about. I mean, I knew I wasn't born in. It's got a Chicago Bears, I guess. I'm just guessing. I have no idea.
It is actually Philadelphia Athletics, managed by Chris Mack in 1902. So,
Oh man, yeah, I know him really well.
what player led the NFL with 27 rushing touchdowns in 20 or 2003? Was it Amon Green, Marshall Faulk, Jamal Lewis, or Priest Holmes?
In 2003,
2003.
man, I got to go Priest on that one. San Antonio's own Priest Holmes.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Priest Holmes, my man, in 2003, the Chiefs started off 9-0 to finish the season 13-3, and Priest Holmes obviously rushed for 27 rushing
He
touchdowns that year,
he broke he
which
broke him.
go
Yeah,
ahead,
go ahead.
which
He broke
holds the
him.
NFL record of touchdowns.
Who holds the NFL record?
Well, he does now. Well, he broke
Oh,
that.
okay, yeah. Yeah, he broke Tony Dorsett's record of 1995 of 25 touchdowns. And Priest Holmes went to Marshall High School here in San Antonio.
Yep, I am a
Yeah,
huge Priest Holmes fan.
dude,
Like
really
how
good
he,
character
yeah, like
guy.
how he, like how his career kind of got ended in KC. It sucks with that hip fracture or
Yes,
broken hip, or I'm
he
not exactly what happened, but
he's
it's
he's
tough.
not going to make the Hall of Fame because he needed about 2 more years of Pro Bowl football.
Yep.
He's in that 8-9,000 yards. He needed to get over like another like 10-11,000, and he might be qualified for the Hall of Fame. I don't think he gets there.
But he is a typical stereo running back. We used him for 4 or 5 years, ran him into the ground, and we're done with him.
Well, you
So
know what? He's got to. Michael, he's got to be like, he won't make the Hall of Fame, but Priest Holmes has to be in like the Chiefs Ring of Honor thing, or he should be.
Yeah, I am not for sure if I saw him there the last time I was there,
Right.
but I do
Look,
know that they have retired a couple players since then. So
that's something to look for, because that dude for about 4 years led the NFL in rushing.
yeah, he
Like,
was the heart
like
and soul of the Chiefs
he was
for a while.
for about 4 or 5. Listen, for about 4 or 5 years, he was #1 in fantasy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
great guy. So speaking of fantasy, perfect segue here. Week 2 of the NFL is almost in the books, and week 2 has been riddled with injuries. One of the biggest injuries I think to hit a NFL team so far this year is Big Ben is out with elbow surgery, and he is going to miss the remainder of the year. Is this a big deal for the Steelers? No deal, or kind of it is what it is.
It's a huge deal. They were already looking not great with Big Ben in there. So, man, I don't know what's going on with that defense. That defense is bothering me, and they have good players. And then they just drafted that kid out of Michigan. They got Jordan, yeah, Jordan at end. I mean, T.J. Watt. I mean, what's going on with that defense, man? I mean, it started. They're getting carved up defensively,
They are.
and that's been
It's
the main
ugly.
problem. So even if Big Ben stayed, they're lucky to look at the way they were playing. They would have been lucky to get to 9-7. It's funny. It's funny. I don't know if you remember when Mason Rudolph was drafted in the 3rd round by the Steelers.
No, I don't.
You know that Big Ben tweeted out right away. This is this is a dick move. He goes, "This is what we need," or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's upset that
yeah, I do remember that. You're right.
Yeah, he tweeted or he did something, and he was upset that they were to draft a quarterback. I mean, dude, like, yeah, now they need Mason Rudolph. Now you're done. Is it Tommy John surgery or something? What is he having?
I haven't for sure heard yet, but I do know he's having season-ending elbow
Yeah,
surgery. It looks like my internet on my iPad that I have all my notes on, it happened to go down, so
yeah,
I can't tell you what kind of surgery it is. But I do know that Ben Roethlisberger is 36 years old, and he is not going to probably come back from this elbow injury. We have probably saw the last
yeah,
of Big Ben in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. He might try to come back on like some type
yeah.
of farewell tour, like jump on the Miami Dolphins or something to that effect. But I think this is a career-ending injury for Big Ben. Do
It's
you agree with that?
Hey, yeah, it's possible. I mean, I can't say one way or the other. I mean, I can't totally rule what you're saying out at all. Um, Tommy John surgery at 36 years old. I think that's what it is. Now, what I've heard is NFL players can come back from Tommy John surgery better than Major League Baseball players can, because the Major League Baseball players have actually more stress on their arm than the NFL player.
Right.
But you're looking at his age and everything that goes into that stuff, man, just to miss out on an entire year. I mean, Ben's not the most, he's an athletic guy,
Right.
but he's not the most, physically fit guy. I mean, this is going to be tough on him, man, to miss this whole year like this and to come back to play like Big Ben did a couple years ago. Yeah, I think it's over for the Steelers. Actually, now have now moved them out of my playoffs. I had them in the wild card. Now I got to insert Baltimore.
Yes, they are looking pretty good after the
Yeah,
first 2 weeks. But just to add to your point there, I mean, a Major League Baseball pitcher throws anywhere from 70 to 100 pitchers 2 times a week, like what 40 weeks like a year. So
yeah,
there's a lot of pressure on that elbow when Big Ben throws about 30 passes a week. So for
yeah,
16 weeks. So I definitely see what you're saying
right.
there. But another big injury was Drew Brees. He's having thumb surgery as soon as possible. He is already likely to miss 6 weeks. Depending on when he has surgery, he could come back after the Week 10 bye week from the Saints. Does this knock the Saints out of the playoffs with this injury?
Man, I hate to overreact, but I'm going to lean a little bit towards yes. I don't know. This is a tough one because the Saints are prime. Everybody's thinking Super Bowl, Super Bowl.
Yep,
And now the Dallas Cowboys have an easier ride to that #1 seed now. I mean,
100% correct.
so knocking them out of the playoffs, maybe I won't rule that out. But as far as #1, #2 seed and all that stuff, yeah, they're done as far as that goes. They're 1-1 now, and schedule does matter a little bit in terms of, sometimes we look at the schedule and some are easier than the others, and sometimes the ones you think is hard or easy. But now looking at their schedule right now, Tampa Bay, I think they play Tampa. That's no walk in the park. They're at Seattle. Um, and what I saw from Tampa Bay last Thursday, that's not a walk in the park.
Right.
Tampa Bay can play. They play Dallas and they're at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense is still pretty damn good. I don't see, man. It's possible. I don't want to predict this, but I could be looking at 0-4 in the face real quick. I mean, they'll be lucky to get out of what I just told you: Tampa Bay, Dallas, Jacksonville. Tampa Bay, Dallas, Jacksonville is one other. I think I mentioned one other one, but they'll be lucky to get out of their 2-2.
Yeah, well, there are three things that are
Seattle.
helping out there are three things that are helping out their playoff chances right now. There's inner turmoil in the Jacksonville Jaguars team. If you watch the coach, so the Jalen Ramsey and their coach had a
Yeah.
huge fight on the sideline,
Yeah.
and the players are pushing back the coach, not the player. That tells you that those players do not trust their coach right now, and they're all about the players. Number
Yeah.
two is their division. As it's going to be competitive, it is not as competitive as some of the other ones. We have clearly seen that Cam Newton is not 100%. He is throwing short arms. He hasn't really tested the ball
Yeah.
downfield past like 15 yards. I think it is. I was looking at the next gen stats, and I think he's had one pass over 17 yards. Tampa Bay, you said that they are no walk in the park, but look who they beat on Thursday. They beat a pretty bad Carolina team. So I think that game is kind of smoke and mirrors to really what their season is going to project them. And then the Atlanta Falcons, we saw them play this past night. Yes, they come back and they had a gutsy 4th-and-3 call with 2 minutes left in the game, but they're an average team as well. They're probably going to go 8-8. So if the Saints can survive with Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback or Hill as their quarterback, they go 500 in these next 6 weeks. Drew Brees comes back week 11. He can make a tear, win 5 or 6 games in a row. They've easily won that division, I think. So don't count them out yet. Don't overreact until about week 10. Let's see what the record is about week 9 or week 10. Are they 500 or have they only won 2 games since then? If they've only won 2 games since then, kind of hit the panic button a little bit. But if they're 500, they're a-okay.
And to your point, I've been on record saying I like Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes.
Okay. And he is the high. Did you know that the Saints made him the highest paid backup in the NFL?
I did not know that.
He's getting $7.5 million this year.
Okay.
Usually backups are in that $2 to $3 million range, and he's getting 7.5. That's like a de facto starter. He's getting paid more than about 10 starters this year.
So my biggest question to you is, like, the Saints, they like to throw Hill in there for 5 or 6 plays at the quarterback spot each game. Teddy Bridgewater is kind of a player that always needs to be in the game. He's kind of a head case, I think. So if he gets pulled out, like, why'd you pull me out? Am I playing bad? Do you think they're going to kind of deviate from that game plan a little bit, or do you think they're going to keep that?
No, I don't think they'll ever yank Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's in there to stay. I think there's a reason they made him the highest paid backup, and he's a de facto starter. I listen, if that I was kind of mad. You know, I would have. We didn't know how good Dak was going to be. I wanted them to go after Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
If Teddy Bridgewater was the Cowboys quarterback right now, we'd still be 2-0 and trying to get to the Super Bowl. I really believe in Teddy Bridgewater. It's just that there's certain things that Drew Brees saves the Saints all the time, and I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is not Drew Brees. There's certain nuances of the game that Drew Brees knows and Teddy Bridgewater doesn't know about the Saints offense and little things, the tricks that Drew Brees does, pulls games out of his hat. So if they go 3-3, that means they're 1-1 now. They're 4-4 when Brees comes back. They could make a run, but I think that number 1 seed stuff's out.
Oh yes,
because
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, because Dallas could be 6-2 by then with a win over the Saints.
Right.
And so and the Rams might be 6-2. So New Orleans would have to really be on catch up mode. So they could make the wild card, or they, the wild card is probably what we're looking at then.
Yeah, I say I'm definitely not saying top 3 playoffs, But
Yeah.
if they but if they win the division, which I think they can, that puts
Okay.
them in the 4th seed, and if
Yeah.
not, they're in the wild card as a
Right.
as a 6th seed, because I think
Gotcha.
that 5th seed is going to be pretty good record like at that point.
Right.
So let's go ahead and shift gears. You brought up the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys have made Taco Carlton inactive for the first 2 games of the year. Earlier today, he tweeted, "quote Free me." I guess maybe taking a playbook or a page out of Antonio Brown's playbook. He has since then deleted that tweet, but screenshots are there. Magical
Right.
tool, and then he actually just came out about an hour ago saying that I shouldn't have to go to social media to want to play a game that I love. Is Taco
Right.
Carlton's time up in Cowboy Land?
It might be. Dallas is getting Robert Quinn back
Right,
off the 2-game suspension, so Taco Charlton's days might be numbered. Um, See if we have any takers out there for him. I think he is done. And the free me thing, I see why he took that off there. It's just kind of silly.
but
Um,
Antonio Brown got his way.
yeah, but Antonio Brown's got a lot more talent than Antonio Brown is better at his job than Taco Charlton's at his job. But yeah, Taco Charlton probably need a new fresh start somewhere. It's funny. He'll probably go somewhere and get a few sacks, and people will be like, "Hey, why didn't Dallas keep him?" But listen, when you got a guy like Robert Quinn coming off the injured reserve,
Right.
who Jerry Jones called him a war daddy. Robert Quinn.
I
I
love
mean,
that. I love that.
he says the war daddies are the ones that get to the pass rusher. I mean, they're the pass rushers that get to the quarterback. And Robert Quinn has 69 career sacks. So that's about in his career. That's about averaging about 9 a year. So Robert Quinn is not a great pass rusher. He's a good one.
Right.
So the Cowboys need Robert Quinn. And so yeah, when you get a guy like that back, yeah, Taco Charlton's days are numbered. Let's see. I'd like to at least see if Dallas could get a 5th or 6th round pick for him, though, not just release him.
Right. I agree. I kind of hope they play hardball a little bit. He is owed $1.3 million this season and a whopping $480,000 this next year. So hopefully, like a 5th or 6th round pick, that would be ideal. I do
And,
know a couple
yeah,
teams that could use some pass rushing ability.
yeah,
So it's definitely out there, and maybe a fresh start would kind of ignite his career like a little bit, and then people
yeah, I
could
think it
say,
would.
hey, why did they let this guy go? Well, because he was a handful in Dallas land. That's what it comes down
Yeah,
to.
and so far he's been a bust, and really, what's amazing is that's about the only pick I can just off the top of my head. Will McClay and Stephen Jones, who run the draft, that's the only pick I can see that they've made bad in the past few years. Like their picks have been pretty damn good, except for Taco Charlton. And I'm still mad. Like I remember watching that draft, and I remember thinking, T.J. Watt is right there to take, and they didn't take Watt's little brother, and he went to Pittsburgh, and he's been tearing it up.
Right.
Imagine if we had Watt right now.
Super Bowls.
Man,
Super Bowls, man.
yeah,
Super
I mean,
Bowls.
yeah, dude. I thought that was a bad pick when I wanted Watt, and they took Taco, but oh well.
Well, let's go ahead and move right along. NFL Week 2 is kind of in its wrapped up phase here. We
Right.
are in Monday Night Football where the Browns do take on the Jets. But let's go ahead and review some of the games from Sundays here. One of the headlining games of Sunday was the Rams versus the Saints. Rams did come out on top 27-9. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, it was all about Drew Brees, that Drew Brees factor. I mean, the Rams are a good team, man. A lot of times you'll watch in the NFL and you'll see the backup quarterback come in and he'll rally the troops.
Yep.
No, you're not rallying the troops versus the Rams. He might have rallied the troops against the Raiders or a lesser team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You rally the troops. No,
Right.
you're not rallying the troops against Wade Phillips' defense. So that was a little problematic. And then, man, the Saints. I don't know if they would have won the game, but the Saints did get hosed again. Cameron Hayward, that's a fumble. He's headed the other way. The officials blew the whistle. Why you would blow the whistle is stupid. Let the play out and then
Right.
figure out what happened. So they took a touchdown away from the Saints. That if I was a Saints fan, man, I would never believe another official again. Like I would be done with the officiating. But so I can see why they're upset. But man, that was a listen. The Rams are the Rams are the real deal. But I do have the Rams coming back to the pack a little bit. being a 10-6 instead of 13-3. So we'll
Right.
see how that plays out. But the Rams took care of business, and Drew Brees bring out that was pretty much the game. That was a huge deal. I think if Brees stays in, there's a chance maybe at the end, Brees works his magic and Saints could end up winning that game. But now that was a methodical beatdown the Rams gave the Saints the other day.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that the game would end in a pass interference call for the Rams to kind of like flip flop the game. The
Right.
exact opposite of what happened in the NFC Championship game, but clearly
Uh,
that did not happen. But a good game on the docket that I actually picked the home team to win this game. Chicago did outlast the Denver Broncos 16-14. What are your thoughts on that one?
man, again, we're talking refs, refs budging this thing up bad, man. Bradley Chubb had a sack. Oh, and by the way, my 30 sacks for Von Miller and Bradley that out right now, unless they just Von Miller has done nothing. It's almost like Von Miller has just been like, you know what? I've made my money. I've got us a Super Bowl ring. I'm good, man. He's done nothing. Bradley Chubb had a sack,
Right.
and they on Trubisky, and they called it roughing the passer. That was baloney. Denver should have won that game. Flacco is not very good. We all know that. We should call him Fluco. Uh, yeah, Fluco is not very good. Trubisky had a little bit of magic there at the end with that 1 second left. And then the Chicago Bears, you can tell they changed their kicker, and it wasn't that guy Parkey or whatever that doinked him off the uprights a few times last year. That was a good kick. That was an exciting game at the end, man. Going for two to win the game. Some of these coaches are crazy. I mean, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do that, man. I'm a believer of you kick the extra point and let's play overtime. It's fair. Everybody gets the ball. You just got to stop. I mean, I don't know if I'd put the whole game 2 or 3 yards away. I think it's 3 yards in college is 2 yards in the NFL. I just wouldn't do that. Unless I was playing against some hot quarterback that I knew. Unless I knew my defense was just water and they're gassed.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if everything's equal and we're playing good and all that, I go ahead and go in overtime.
Yeah, I see what you're
So
saying, but I don't agree with your statement that like overtime is fair. I don't think the overtime in the NFL is fair. If you want a fair overtime, the college overtime system is
yeah,
perfect. Each
it is.
team gets an opportunity the ball at the 20. If it's tie game again, you go until the tie's broke. I believe the NFL is really the only uh, football that has a tie, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't like the
In my
ties at all. The
yeah.
ties are you to avoid the ties. You know what you have to do in like the last 2 minutes of overtime. You can't like Cliff Kingsbury punted his freaking game away last week.
Right.
He punted away. He literally said, Here we go. Here's my leg, and I'm just punting the victory away." No, the last 2 minutes, you need to make teams go for it, and that'll eliminate the tie.
Right.
Like if it's 4th and 8, in the last 2 minutes of a game, you can't punt it away and go, "I'll take the tie." No, you have to they have to go for it, and that'll eliminate the tie.
Yeah.
The only reason I said it's fair is, Michael, because they did change the rule now that if you don't score a touchdown, you do get. I mean, it's better than it was,
Yeah.
but
I still think it's flawed. Like I think both teams should have an opportunity
but
to
the
score.
reason they won't go to the college way though is, can you imagine NFL players going 7 overtimes and beating up their body like that and playing essentially another game?
Well, but in their defense, like if the ball is at the 20, you have really the only maximum of like eight plays uh per side. So
Okay.
16 plays total. So I mean, 8 times 16, that's 56 plays. So like yeah, I guess I could see you saying that
Oh, you know
that is one
what?
extra game.
You know what? To avoid that, you just got to make them like you just got to make people go for two. Then, like after,
Yeah,
like they do that in college too. Like after
I
the
think it's
third
four.
possession,
Yeah, third or fourth
you
overtime.
know what? In the NFL, hey, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars. How about after the second possession, we got to end the game.
Right.
Let's make them go for two.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like
Yeah.
I hope maybe one day in my lifetime that happens.
Hey, we just solved the overtime problems, and we're not getting paid millions. You go for two. So
right.
there's no more ties. Go for two on the second possession, and then to end overtime. If it's 2 minutes left, you have to go for it on fourth down. There's no more punting the game away.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
We just
Marcus,
eliminated the tie.
NFL needs to hire us. So
Yeah.
one game that kind of shocked me a little bit, kind of had me on the edge of my seat. I was in the air while this game was happening, but I DVR'd it. KC outlasted Oakland. Well, I guess you can't really say outlasted.
Yeah.
28-10. What are your thoughts on that one?
Man, it, the Kansas City Chiefs are a freaking machine. Hey, you're gonna regret that I said that you didn't put 100K on. You're gonna let
You're
me tell you
right.
something.
You're
You're
right.
gonna call me drunk in February after the Chiefs are hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, and you're gonna tell me that you should have put money, at least like $10,000 or something on the Chiefs.
Right.
If you'd have put $10,000 on the Chiefs, you get back 75 grand, and then you could have kicked me 5 grand just because I gave you the information.
Right. And
See,
I
so
wouldn't be in this sleazy hotel room, huh?
you're messing me up right now, man.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, the Kansas City Chiefs are a machine. It's hilarious. You look at the NFL, and there's a couple of things in the NFL that I haven't seen in a while that's weird. Dolphins being one of them. But the Chiefs were down 10-0. It was like, and I think you've heard me say this before. It was like Alabama playing the Citadel, and the Citadel goes up 10-0, and Alabama's like, dude, what are we doing? Let's go. And then they just roll. You're not supposed to do that in the NFL. That's
No.
not supposed to happen. This isn't the Citadel versus Alabama. You're not supposed to just wake up and then beat another NFL team like that. So, hey, you see the weapons that Mahomes have, and that new kid Robinson or what? I mean,
Yep.
dude, this is completely. And I got a couple of friends that told me that they wouldn't take Mahomes with their first pick. They're going to take running backs, and I said, yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but Mahomes is special. Mahomes is special. You take Mahomes with the number one pick, and they're like, nah, you got to take Saquon, or they were naming all these running backs. I was like, okay, don't take Mahomes in.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, like somebody got Mahomes like later in the first round or in the early second. Dude, Mahomes is. You take Mahomes, that dude is unbelievable, and the Chiefs are. I want the Chiefs and the Patriots, man. They're on a collision course. Is that game going to be at Gillette, or is it going to be at Arrowhead?
I believe it's at Patriots. So.
I was talking about the AFC Championship game. Do they play this year?
Yeah. They play each other week 7 or week 8. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head.
Man,
But yeah, that
is
game is
that
probably
is
going to be
that
for
head
home field advantage. I bet.
is that on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, or is that just
Uh,
a regular?
I can't. I'm pretty sure it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday night game. I can't remember
I'm gonna have to
off the
look
top of my
that
head.
up right now.
But
That game is
speaking of the Citadel, did you see them upset?
yes,
I can't remember who it was, but Saturday they got their first
Georgia
win.
Tech,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There you go, Georgia Tech. It was their first win over a
No,
Power Five school ever. I think it was or something.
okay, it's at New England in
Yep.
December 8th at 4:25. So, but that'll be the game everybody will be watching at
Right.
4:25.
If I do
But
not get that game, I am going to raise some crap on my
no,
thought.
everybody's getting that game at 4:25, dude. Now, if it was at noon, you'd be in trouble. But the 4:25 games, you should get that.
speaking of
Yeah.
the noon games, I did get the Baltimore Arizona game. Baltimore did pull out that win, 23-17. What are your thoughts on that game?
You know, it's crazy. I was actually Kyler Murray. I've been Kyler Murray. If I had him in fantasy for a second, it auto picked me. My phone was messing up. I should have just kept him.
Right.
He's could have thrown a couple of 300-yard games right there. Real quick, I didn't even answer your question. The Citadel, Georgia Tech. Real quick, I'm gonna get back to Kyler Murray. But the Citadel, I use them as an example. They always play people tough. I
Yeah.
don't care if it's North Carolina, like any Division One team that goes, it's just the Citadel, you're gonna get beat.
Right.
Okay, and they proved that against Georgia Tech, and
They
then I
did.
think they won in 2014 against somebody.
I don't know.
Okay, Kyler Murray and the Baltimore game. Hey, so far Lamar Jackson's looked pretty good. We'll see. I'm not ready to crown his ass,
Right.
as they say, but the injury to Roethlisberger, that's going to move up the Ravens in my eyes, and I think the Ravens now make the playoffs as a wild card or maybe even win the division. Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson, they both look decent. I'm just waiting for somebody to put that defense that the Chargers put on Baltimore last year and made that guy just throw all exclusively.
Right.
Put him in tough situations. They haven't done that yet, so we'll see what happens. But I've been real impressed with the Ravens so far. That's a pretty good game. And Kyler Murray, both of them, they both look promising.
Yeah. Kyler Murray is kind of the biggest surprise. Although I wish the
Yeah.
Cardinals would play a full game, just not a second half football team.
Yeah.
But just like you said, pump the brakes on Lamar Jackson like a little bit. Yes, he's had two fantastic games. You cannot take that away from the kid whatsoever. Just keep it rolling. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to put a clamp down on the Baltimore Ravens this week in Week 3,
Yes.
because they want to basically prove them like, hey, we are still the best team in the AFC. You all
Yes.
need to pump the brakes a little bit. But this was a very good game to watch. I was really
Three
really impressed.
interceptions. Three interceptions. And Lamar Jackson's going to throw against Kansas City.
Oh, bold statement, Cotton. So a game that
We're,
you probably watched, Houston took on Jacksonville, 13-12. This kind of game was not the game I was expecting from Houston whatsoever. What are
yeah.
your thoughts on it though?
This was one of those games where it reminded me of the Cowboys Redskins old rivalry, where
Yeah,
the Redskins could be hot and Dallas could be sucking, and it's just a 10-10 game. Or Dallas is on the way to Super Bowls and the Redskins suck, and then the Redskins play them real tough. Listen, Doug Marrone, the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Bill O'Brien are like near best friends. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not.
They know they know each other. If one of them gets fired, look for that person to be on that person's staff.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that's how close they are. They're really close. Their wives they go out to eat together. And he says they don't talk football. They haven't talked football since they've gotten the AFC South together. They talk about other stuff because
Good.
it's competitive for those 3.5 hours.
Right.
Yeah. So Doug Marrone knows everything that Bill O'Brien's going to do. So you got to put a little disclaimer on this game. You saw what Watson did to the Saints, and he wasn't able to duplicate that. Jacksonville still, even though they're in a little disarray, they still have playmakers that you know that are household names on defense that play really well.
You're right.
And they know each other really well. I mean, the Texans too. They know everything Jacksonville's going to do. Jacksonville knows everything the Texans are going to do, and that's exactly what you saw on Sunday at noon. And I was a little. Listen, Doug Moreau. I don't think he had a hot quarterback, Minshew. I would have made that. I would have kicked the extra point, made it 13-13, and I would have said, "Let's go. I've got a hot quarterback." But he went for it all. And Justin Reed, third-round pick last year out of Stanford, Eric Reed's little brother for the Texans, he had running back responsibility on that play. He almost blew it, but he got there just in time. A few inches, the ball was a few inches short of the goal line. Justin Reed made the play, and it avoided the Texans going 0-2, which it was amazing.
Right. It was a really eventful game to watch, but I'm sure as a Houston fan, you probably would have liked it a little bit more spread out than that. Speaking
Oh,
of
yeah, absolutely.
speaking of a close game at noon, Cowboys were traveling to Washington D.C. to take on the Redskins. Cowboys did win 31-21. What are your thoughts on that one?
And that game's not even as close as the score indicated. I think if I don't know what's going on with Kellen Moore in that offense, but it looks completely different. There's more movement. It looks kind of like the same plays, but it just seems like it's a little more intricate. More things are going on. The receiving, the route concepts seem to be a little more different, or a little bit harder to guard. Or are they just playing two terrible teams? But these two terrible teams that they played, the Giants and the Redskins, they know what Dallas is doing. This is another one. Dallas is just they're not playing down to the level of competition. The receivers are wide. Man, I think I could run out there and then run a route and I'd be wide open in the Cowboys offense. Like
Right.
I mean, dude, it looks really good so far. Now, the Redskins and the Giants are probably going to combine this year for about 8 wins. So I'll pump the brakes, and then next year, I don't know what's going. Next week, I don't know what's going on with Miami. That you know, that's a bye week, and I never say that about the NFL. I never say that. That's just incredible how terrible Miami is. I've never said this before. You're hearing things first. I literally think that I could take Clemson and Coach Nick Saban in Alabama. He could combine Clemson and Alabama's rosters, give Nick Saban 2 months to prepare for the Dolphins, and I think they'd play them tough. I think the Dolphins look horrific. So it's pretty weird to me, man. And Dallas gets to play the Dolphins next week. I mean, I would expect Dak Prescott to be, the first drive of the third quarter, right? Dallas will be up 28-0 at half. The first drive of the third quarter, let Dak. I don't care if it's a field goal drive, 31-0, or if it's Dak It should be Cooper Rush from the middle of the third quarter on next week.
Yeah, and that would be one of your 8 quarters that you got to sit out in an 18 game season.
Oh, and this would be the game, one of the games that Dak wouldn't even play if
Right.
this was that new rule thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of not playing anymore, we talked about this earlier. Big Ben is out for the season, and they also suffered a loss on Sunday as well, losing to the Seahawks 28-26. Any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I think we talked about it earlier. The Steelers, the secondary is not playing well. The front seven, I don't know what's
Horrible.
going on with Watt and Hayward there. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there. Mike Tomlin, man, that's right now that is a complete disaster. And Russell Wilson was just throwing every. I mean, he was like Dak Prescott. He was throwing anybody that was open. I mean, it was amazing. I thought that the Steelers would win that game because they're at home and they'd bounce back, but they didn't. And so far, it's one of the things I've been wrong on. So far, Seattle's 2-0, and I thought they'd be like 7-9 or whatever.
Right.
So Seattle so far looks pretty good.
Well, just in your defense there, that the refs did kind of save them that game when they called it pass interference on a non-pass interference call. But
They
that's a
did
story
another.
for a different day.
Uh,
The one thing positive about the Pittsburgh Steelers is they had no hype about them, no momentum. But when Rudolph came in, they showed it. They showed it. They seemed to have a little bit more emotion in themselves
yeah,
during that game. So maybe they can build on that like a little bit. Maybe get eight
yeah.
get eight wins, but I don't. It's going to be tough. Speaking of 8 wins, Buffalo Bills and New York Giants might get 8 wins combined total this year as well. Buffalo did beat the
No,
Giants 28-14. What are your thoughts on this one?
that's one of the ones I'm going to predict well. I said Buffalo would finish second in that division, and they'd be 9-7. And so far, I mean, I love Buffalo's defense. Somebody told me that the old man was going to rise up. He's talking about Eli Manning, and he was going to throw for like 4 touchdowns against the Bills. This is somebody that obviously doesn't know anything about football. I got a call from a buddy about an hour before the game, and he goes, man, the Giants are going to rise up, man, and Eli Manning, Saquon Barkley, I got Saquon in fantasy, and he's going to score a couple touchdowns. Eli's throwing 3 touchdowns, and the Bills suck and all this. I go, what the? I said, dude, the Bills have one of the best defenses I've seen this year so far. So good luck on that one, man. And and Allen looks decent. He looks pretty good. I like the Buffalo Bills. I thought they would be the second best team um, in that AFC East, and I had them going 9-7. So they so far so good on the Bills. And oh man, Eli got to 500 finally. He's 116 wins and 116 losses with that new loss.
Yeah, and speaking of that, the Giants head coach was just on the NFL channel saying that every position is up for grabs going into
Yeah.
week 3. So will he finish his season at 500 or finish his career at 500? I guess we'll know
500.
in a few days here. Speaking of 500, a team that's not going to finish 500, Miami Dolphins. They get shellacked by the Patriots 43-0. Antonio Brown kind of went off a little bit, but now his nameplate is no longer in his locker. What is your thoughts on this game?
Man, it was like a 6A or 5A team beating a 2A, 1A team. It was just, man, that's just terrible. I'm glad I didn't watch one play of that game. I mean, dude, that's just I don't. Yeah, next. I mean, the Dolphins are on the way to getting Tua
Yep.
from Alabama. I think it's Justin Abear. I like the Oregon quarterback better than Tua.
Yes,
I'm
I
on an
do.
island on that one. It's kind of weird. Maybe
I saw him play
you
versus
think
Auburn, and I like him a lot. Yes.
yeah, I think if I had the number one pick, I would take Herbert. And people are saying Tua, so we'll see. That's going to be another one. They're going to go 1-2 probably in the draft, and
Right.
I would ride with Justin. But yeah, and well, unless they have something in Josh Rosen, but man, it's how do you evaluate like Josh Rosen when your defense? I mean, how do you? This is terrible. Like I haven't seen this. Let me tell you something. The 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers went 0-14. They were an expansion team. This is what Miami looks like. I haven't seen it since then.
Right.
Like not even the 1989 Cowboys that went 1-15 don't look this bad.
But you know who looks really that good? New England Patriots do look that
Yeah.
good. But you all need to pump the brakes on the 16 and like O talk. They have 3 or 4 really big games coming up.
Yeah.
One versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they play the Cleveland Browns, and then
Yes.
I want to say they play the Ravens as well. So kind of keep that in mind. 16-0 talk, pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, Mike, real quick, Mike. You, you know they're at Buffalo soon. That's going to be their actual first test.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you.
that might be a loss.
Buffalo's defense, led by Jerry Hughes, number 55. He gets after your ass in the quarterback. Buffalo's not bad. I'm going to tell you now it'll be challenging. That's the first time New England's defense will be challenged with a bunch of RPOs from a good quarterback.
Right. So speaking of a really good quarterback, Colts don't have one, but they do beat the Titans 19-17 in a fiery game. Air quotes there. What are your thoughts on that game?
That's a big time win for Indianapolis to go into Tennessee, and with Tennessee riding high, they were higher than a kite after putting 43 on Cleveland.
Right.
And that Tennessee loss might come back to haunt them.
Yeah.
Because you lost at home in a divisional opponent, and now Tennessee has to go on the road and play a reeling Jacksonville team that needs a win desperately. Tennessee might be. I'm predicting Jacksonville to win that game. A little tidbit there to win at home. So Tennessee will be sitting there at 1-2 after this big Browns win. Both field goal kickers missed a bunch of kicks. Otherwise, it could have been game over. I mean, you could blame the game on both field goal kickers. That's a big time win for the Colts after losing Week 1 to the Chargers to go into Tennessee and win. That's one of those ones. That's a swing game.
Yes, you are 100% correct. This loss right here for the Tennessee Titans may have knocked them out of the playoff contention because, like you just said, they have to go to Jacksonville with a team that's 0-2 that is hungry for a win, and then they still got to travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts again and to Houston. So that is going to be really, really, really tough.
Let me tell you Tennessee's schedule. They're short week at Jacksonville, and then they got to go to Atlanta after that. Good luck. Atlanta. I think we'll talk about Atlanta, but I like Atlanta now. I like them more. What I've seen from Atlanta, what I saw from them. That Philadelphia is really talented. Well, we'll get to it in a minute, but that's not it. Tennessee at Atlanta. Then they got to play Buffalo. Tennessee could be looking at 1-3 really quickly here.
Yeah. So speaking of 1-3, Minnesota Vikings are on that path as well. They did lose to the Packers yesterday, 21-16. Aaron Rodgers 3 touchdowns with a little bit of controversy with the head coach. What are your thoughts on this game?
The controversy with the coach, which
they were arguing about a incomplete pass. Typical banter between a quarterback and a head coach. But
which team was that? I missed it. Which team was that?
Aaron Rodgers and
Aaron and LaFleur.
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. Not I got lost here for a second. Which game are we talking about?
Vikings Packers. Vikings win.
Oh, Vikings Packers. Yeah. Hey, no. Aaron and LaFleur. Yes, you're 100% correct. I just got confused with another game real quick. You're 100% correct. LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. That looks to be that's normal. People like to overblow that stuff. Listen, they're sitting pretty, man. 2-0 the Packers.
Yes.
I mean that's 2 pretty big, impressive wins that they have. So all the Green Bay people and what I thought maybe they might be 8-8 this year or something, that might not be the case. That's a pretty good victory. And oh my God, Kirk Cousins, really, dude? First and 10, and he chunks it up for grabs in triple coverage.
That's your fantasy quarterback.
Man, like you cannot do that, man. Like that's you, man. You know what's funny is I'm a defender of Romo, and I really don't know why I have to be, because the guy had supreme talent,
right.
And he carried the Cowboys on his back for about 9 seasons. Okay, let me know when you saw Tony Romo throw an interception in the regular season in the end zone. I'm waiting. You didn't.
No.
He didn't. No. So in other words, I've seen Romo do a Mahomes. Romo has thrown no look touchdowns.
Right.
I have never seen Romo just go, "Hey, here it is, guys," and just, "What are you doing, Kirk?"
You're right.
Kirk Cousins, dude, like that's. I could see if that was 4th and 10. He did that on 1st and 10. He better not ever come to the sidelines if I'm coaching.
Yeah. like you can have faith in your receivers all you want, but that is just borderline stupidity there, 100%.
Stupidity. That was 1st and 10. It was triple coverage. He better walk way away from me. I mean,
Walk
that's
around the
insane.
bench and come sit down,
He
right?
better go sit up in the stands or something for a little while. Yeah, get some Papa John's pizza or something.
So
Yeah.
speaking of sitting in the stands, this is probably the biggest surprise to me of the whole weekend so far. Detroit Lions beating the Los Angeles Chargers 13-10. What are your thoughts on this one?
That was a weird game. Like every time I looked up, right, and you're trying to pay attention to like a million games at once. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
I saw the Chargers in the red zone about 5 times.
Uh huh.
What the hell? Like, what are y'all? And
Yeah.
they got 10 points out of it or something. I mean, that was what are you what? So there must have been missed field goals, and I really didn't pay attention to that game. That was one of the ones I didn't pay attention to as much as
Right.
I should have. I paid attention to some of the other ones. But hey, give Detroit credit, give Matt Patricia credit. They laid an egg what last week. I mean, you just they were down 20. They were up 24-6 on a 5'5" quarterback and lost.
Right.
And
Well,
so
tied.
yeah, and so yeah, and and so I gotta give him credit, man, for beating the Chargers, man. Oh, Eckler fumbled at the goal line.
Yeah.
That was one of them, and I don't know, maybe they missed a field goal, but it seemed like every time I looked up, the Chargers were in the red zone,
Yeah.
and they come away with 10 points. So I don't know what. So yeah, I mean that's a big time win for Matt Patricia, man. I was ready to bury them. I
Yeah.
would put them at 4-12, and this could be one of their wins. They could still go 4-12, but you got to give the Lions credit where credit is due. They beat a team that's a little more talented than them.
A lot more talented than
Yeah,
like they are. This is a game that like I kept seeing the score and I'm like, oh, the Chargers are going to be fine. Like
right,
it was like 13-7. I'm like, oh, they'll be fine. They'll turn around.
right,
It just they seem to never turn on that switch and like really play. So being like there are games in the season where like you just don't show up and play
right.
very well. But I was not expecting that week 2 versus the Detroit Lions. That is a big surprise for me. This loss here could come back and haunt them for a first play or for
And
a division championship too. So
that is a huge game
yep,
next week. Chargers Texans
correct.
this
So
Sunday.
like another huge game. San Francisco 49ers showed 49ers of old beating the Bengals 41-17. Jimmy G, what are your thoughts on that?
I love Jimmy G. I told you he's got Romo feet. He looks like Romo a little bit when he's moving his feet and he's going through his progressions. I think Romo's a better athlete than Jimmy G. I don't know if you remember young Romo could scramble
Yes.
but Jimmy G's got that. He's got that little that little arm motion that Romo has a
Yeah.
little bit, and he's got the feet, and he looks. I'm telling you, I'm a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo. He could be my quarterback, and he was rusty in the preseason. He looks good now. I know it's just the Bengals, okay, but um,
The Bengals aren't that
anybody,
bad. They pushed
I
the
know.
Seahawks to the brink, and they did play the 49ers for like a good for like a little while.
I'll give somebody $100 if they can name me San Francisco's top 4 receivers for Jimmy G. See what I mean? Like
Right.
it's the real deal. He doesn't have a lot of help. I know he's got Kittle at tight end, and he's got a decent offensive line, and all the way they're gonna really they lost their offensive tackle Staley, so that's gonna really hurt them moving forward. They're protecting Jimmy G, their offensive tackle Staley. That Staley's been a Pro Bowler, so that's gonna hurt, but. The 49ers are what I thought they were. They're 2-0, and they're on their way to winning. I told you they're going to win this division at 10-6, and the Rams are going to go 10-6. That's still my prediction. And the 49ers will win the tiebreaker over the Rams. So they're on the collision course. The Rams and the 49ers. I can't wait to watch that game. I think that's going to be a pretty damn good game.
Yeah, if you don't remember, like I was not a buyer into the 49er hype,
Yeah,
but I'm slowly starting to buy some stock after these
you getting there?
first two weeks. I really like to see what's happening there. And speaking of buying some stock, the Atlanta coach better go buy a lottery ticket today because they did pull out the win versus Philadelphia on a gutsy 4th and 3 call with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left
Yeah.
in the game. Probably 9 times out of 10. I'm going to have to say 97 out of 100 times anybody else would have punted the ball, but they went for it on 4th and 3 to basically win the game. So they did win 24-20 over the Eagles. What are your thoughts on this one?
all night the defensive coordinator Spagnuolo was run blitzing and blitzing Atlanta. And I got to give Atlanta Falcons line credit. They held up for a lot of the game, but they confused Matt Ryan a couple of times and made him throw some interceptions. Um, so basically, what Atlanta did is they took it, Dirk Cutter, they took advantage of the blitzing on that 4th and 3, and all that was left once the blocks were made. All that was left was Anderson Sandejo and Julio Jones, and I'll take Julio Jones.
Yep.
That was a great play call for what the defense was going to do to Atlanta, the blitzing, and it was, oh man, it was a beauty, it was perfection. And as soon as Mohamed Sanu made the block, I don't know if you noticed, as soon as he saw Julio Jones catch the ball and the block was made, Mohamed Sanu raised his arm like he's taking this to the house.
Yep.
It's over game.
I love
Unless
it.
there was some kind of fluke, some kind of penalty. Listen, Philadelphia is a good team. This was a big time loss. If you're a Cowboys fan, which we are, this is one of those losses where, wow, thank you, Atlanta Falcons. You just did us a solid. They were on Carson Wentz's ass for the first half, and he got hit a lot. And they adjusted. Philadelphia adjusted because I think they're a better coach team, actually, than the Dallas Cowboys. They made the halftime adjustments, and they came back on Atlanta. And that's a big-time win for the Falcons. Let me tell you something about Atlanta. Listen, I knew they were okay, but they're better than what I thought they were.
Yes.
Their
I think I had
seven,
them going 5-12. I think I had them pretty down.
Oh, Atlanta. Listen, they got Grady Jarrett in the middle there, defensive tackle, and they got Tankersley rushing the passer, number 98. It would be a nightmare trying. I watched him exclusively taking on Peters, the All-Pro for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was giving him fits, man. Tankersley, a kid out of UCLA, drafted in the Taco Charlton draft. I was hoping that Tank would slide down to where the Cowboys picked, but he didn't. Atlanta took him earlier, and Claiborne is a former first-round pick out of Iowa who's with the Falcons, and he's the one that got 6 sacks on Dak a couple of years ago. You remember that? I don't know if you remember.
I try to block that out of my memory.
Claiborne is there on the outside as well, and then Deion Jones, the linebacker number 45 out of LSU, who they gave the big contract to, is as good as any of the Cowboys linebackers. So Atlanta is right there, dude. Like I'm gonna have to like reevaluate Atlanta a little bit. Like I didn't think they'd be terrible,
no,
but I mean they could compete for this division.
Yeah, well, especially now with Drew Brees being out for 6 weeks,
absolutely,
they definitely need to capitalize these next 6 to 7 weeks to really get ahead of that head of the curve here. So one more trivia question for you: who was the first ever Monday Night Football game? What two teams first played in the first Monday Night Football game ever?
That was like in Keith Jackson did the games. With Danny, was it Meredith? Well, it could have been. I know Howard Cosell was there. It was like 1970. Was it Joe Namath? Joe Namath was involved.
Sure was. The first Monday Night Football game ever was the Browns versus the Jets. The Browns did win that game with a interception from Joe Namath threw an interception to pretty much end the game for a pick 6. But that is the exact game that we have tonight. Monday Night Football. 0-1 Browns take on the 0-1 New York Jets.
Got you.
First things first, who do you got winning this game?
If Sam Darnold were completely healthy, I would pick the Jets actually to win this game. I probably in our predictions. Where's the game being played at?
New York. Odell Beckham is, quote, going back home, even though he's not playing the Giants, but it's the same stadium.
Yes. If Sam Darnold was playing, I would pick the Jets. But since it's Trevor Siemian, and listen, I like Trevor Siemian. I wish he was Dak's backup. He's better than Cooper Rush.
Yes.
He's not great or anything that, but he's good. He's good. But if Sam Darnold were playing, I would take the Jets. But nah, I expect Baker Mayfield and the boys to wake up and put a 40 spot. Well, no, let me get quickly crazy because the Jets defense is good. I expect them to put up 30.
Yeah, 30. This is going to be a repeat of the first ever Monday Night Football game. Browns are going to win this game because of the Jets quarterback play. He's going to throw a couple key interceptions. That's basically going to seal the game for the Browns. As most players do, the Browns players, I'm going to refer to Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield will definitely rise up to the occasion and play well tonight. That's why I got the Browns. Ooh.
Yeah, no, yeah, the Browns will win this game, man. They should win this game. When you don't have Sam Darnold going, I mean that's a big deal.
Yeah, and
So
just like you alluded to earlier, Sam Donald is out. They haven't put a timetable on it with a case of mono. So
yeah,
hopefully he does get better. Having mono certainly does suck. I've had that a time or two,
really,
and yeah, it
okay.
just you never feel yourself, and it just really sucks. So
Miles Garrett 2 sacks tonight
there you
for
go.
the Browns. Maybe a strip sack and a fumble, and it'll give Baker Mayfield some points, and they'll put him on the board.
What's your final score for tonight?
Golly, man, I was so looking forward to this when Sam Darnold was healthy, but now I'm talking like, how about 33-20?
See, and I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to say
Okay,
21-17. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to have 3 touchdowns tonight.
okay.
The Jets are basically going to let Odell have his, and they're going to shut down everybody else. So I think that's the game plan going in for tonight's game. But
Okay.
guys, that's going to be it for today's show. Marcus, any closing thoughts?
No, man, that was a pretty good trivia question. Was it 1970 or 71 or something? It was one of those. It was, yeah.
I can't remember. I actually heard it on the TV when
Oh,
I
okay,
was.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like 70. I know it's 70 or 71. That's a pretty good trivia question. But man, I wish there was a better Monday night game. Listen, oh, and here comes the run of Browns. The Browns on prime time.
Right.
They have about 5 or 6 of them this year because the NFL bought into the hype too. And here's the first one of many. So
So
if you
let me
yeah,
ask you this question before we go and my battery dies on the computer. If the Browns go 0-2, do they miss the playoffs?
It won't be good for Freddie Kitchens. I know that because his expectations are big. They have a talented team, not just on offense, on defense. They have a talented team, and they will. I don't know that's a good. I don't think the listen. What really helps them is Ben Roethlisberger getting hurt. They
Correct.
might Baltimore will win that division, and Cleveland might come up and go 9-7 and still make them get in the wild card. So now I won't rule it out because of the Roethlisberger injury.
All right, guys. You heard it here first. But that's going to be it for today's show. Guys, join us tomorrow. We're going to break down some Monday night football games and throw in some college football as well. But as
Yes.
always, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on iTunes as well, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.